Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai. So we finished the Bhagavad Gita yesterday. It was a big achievement. Hari Bol. Congratulations to. Hold on. There's an echo here. Oh, so that was a big achievement. And now we're starting on the Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Volume 1, Chapter 1, Verse 1. Very beginning. So this is written by one of the great acharyas, who was a direct disciple of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. His name is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And we are, of course, reading the translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So let us begin. So we can say the Sanskrit. You have it there on your phone? Yeah. Okay, so it starts off with Sanskrit. Most of the, see, this is very interesting because Krishnadas Kaviraj, he wrote the Caitanya Charitamrita in Bengali for the most part, because it was the vernacular language. It was like the local familiar language. But he starts off with his own Mangala Charanam, which is in Sanskrit. And then he also gives the opening verses, which are kind of like the sutras, opening sutras of the Caitanya Charitamrita in Sanskrit. And then he goes on to unpack those throughout the Adi Lila. So we'll see. Yeah, he starts off with Mangala Charanam and glorifications of Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, Advaita Charya, like that. And then he'll have like a whole chapter dedicated to unpacking that glorification. So it's very nice, nicely structured. Okay, fine. Next one. Vande Gurun Isha Bhaktan Isham Isha Vatarakan Tat Prakashamscha Tat Chakti Krishna Chaitanya Samgyakam. This chapter is called The Spiritual Masters. Translation: I offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnations, his plenary portions, his energies, and the primeval Lord himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya is Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord Chaitanya, otherwise known as Gauranga, the golden avatar. Okay, text 2. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sahodito Godadaye Pushpavanto Chitro Shando Tamonudo. Can you read Bhagavati?
My respectful obeisances unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance, and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all.
Okay, now we're going to get some long verses here. So these verses, they go like, I think so. Yad Advaitam Brahmopanishadi Tat Apyasya Tanuba Ya Atmantayami Purusha Iti Sosyam Shavibhavaha Shad Aishvarya Purno Ya Iha Bhagavansa Swayam Ayam Na Chaitanyat Krishnaj Jagati Paratatvam Param Iha. The translation. You have it there, Kritika? May the Upanishads.
Lord Chaitanya is the supreme personality of God, Krishna himself, formed with six opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to.
Okay, so Krishna's Kaviraj is being very clear, starting off. First, offering obeisances to all of his spiritual masters, right? Vande Guru, to all of the devotees of the Lord, and then to the Lord himself in all of his incarnations and manifestations. and his energies, and to the Lord himself, Lord Chaitanya. And now he's saying who Lord Chaitanya is. So Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. He's no different from Krishna. He's not an incarnation of Krishna. He's not an expansion of Krishna. He is Krishna himself, non-different with all the potencies of Krishna. He is the all-inclusive, all-encompassing, absolute truth. Right? He can consisting of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan in all of his potencies. So now Krishna's Kaviraj is going to give us a beautiful blessing. Text 4. Anarpita charim chirat karunavatyuna kalo samarpayitam unnato jvalarasam swabhakti shriyam hari purata sundara dhyutikadamba sandipita sadaridaya kandare spuratu vashachi nandana. You want to read there, Daniel? Text 4. Oh. Okay, it's Caitanya Charitamrita. Okay, so go to Vedabase and search Caitanya Charitamrita. Caitanya Charitamrita. Adi Leela, it's okay. I'm sure you're not the only one. They just arrived, and I'm sure people out there on YouTube are pretty lost too. Okay, Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 1, text 4.
We are not reading.
The introduction. We dove straight into it. Introduction is long.
Okay.
You can do that for homework. Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
Do you want to read text 4?
Your heart rich blended with the radiance of molten gold, he has appeared in the age of Kali by his boundless mercy to bestow without incarnation as ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, mellow of conjugal love.
So you see, this is a great blessing because he's saying to all of the readers, everyone who's reading gets this blessing. May the Lord, the son of Sachi, in other words, Lord Chaitanya, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. Krishna's Kaviraj's wish for us. And then he glorifies Lord Chaitanya that he came with this mission, which was to propagate the worship of the Lord in the mood of the gopis of Vrindavan. Something very, very high that was never taught before. It was never like given as a means of worshiping the Lord. So, yeah. And so Lord Chaitanya, he came in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and he also taught the mood of Srimati Radharani by his personal example, but he showed how to, that we have to do that properly, right? You can't just be like, all right, I have a Krishna's my lover and I'm going to worship him that way. That's not how it works. So internally, if somebody has that mood, then they can aspire for that mood internally, but then externally, we follow the rules and regulations and, regular principles of bhakti according to the acharyas and how they practiced. And the interesting thing is, like, practically all of our acharyas, they're all in this mood of Madhurya Rasa, which he says is the Ujjvala Rasa, the most brilliant, most elevated, most sublime and radiant mood of devotional service. So all of them, like all the 6 Goswamis, Narottam Das Thakur and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they're all in the conjugal Madhurya Rasa. But we can see how they perform devotional service in this world, right? That they were preaching, they were writing books about bhakti, they were opening temples and worshiping deities. They were going out and they were chanting the holy names, teaching the holy names, expanding Krishna consciousness, and doing so much service like that. But then internally, internally they were meditating on serving Krishna in a particular mode. So, because after Lord Chaitanya came, there were people who misunderstood Lord Chaitanya, and they were like, all right, we're all gopis. These men, they dressed up in saris and, started pretending that they were gopis. And then one of them pretends that he's Krishna. And then they have their own rasa lila, which ends up being like really perverse. Yeah. So they're called sahajiyas, and they're not authorized followers of Lord Chaitanya. They're leaving. So we don't do that. So Lord Chaitanya, he taught that it's possible. He basically said it's possible. You can have that relationship with Krishna. But then he showed us that what it looks like in this material world as devotees in that mood, it's to be practiced internally. Okay. Let's go. He's going to talk more about this. So this is still like the introductory. He's just like kind of like giving very like he's getting off to an intense start here. Krishna's Kaviraj. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladini Shaktir Asmad Ekatmanavapi Bhuvi Puradeha Bedam Gatoto Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Aduna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhavaditi Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. Can you read that?
Although Radha and Krishna on one hand, previously they separated themselves. Now, these two transcendental identities have again, in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, have gone down to him, who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself.
Yeah, so again, he's saying Krishna Swarupam. He is the very form. He is Krishna himself, not different from Krishna. But in one sense, Lord Chaitanya he's Krishna plus. Right? He's Krishna, but he's also more than Krishna because he's Radha and Krishna. So he makes this amazing statement here that although Radha and Krishna are one, they separated themselves eternally for the sake of enjoying their pastimes, enjoying their relationship. And now this very epic thing happened is that Radha and Krishna have again united. They've become one form in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
What is for
So it means own form. It means one's own form. So he's Krishna, but he has the mood and complexion of Srimati Radharani. So Radha Bhava. Bhava means the mood, and duty means the complexion, like the luster. Yeah. Okay.
So Lord, like it says, Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. It is Radharani, or it could be like the first sentence, what it says.
Yeah, I mean, generally, Radharani is the embodiment of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency, but the pastimes are also manifestations of that pleasure potency. Right? In other words, he's saying that Krishna basically can't have his pastimes without Radharani.
Okay.
Like Krishna he just can't enjoy himself without Radharani. He gets no pleasure without Radharani. So if anyone tries to separate Krishna from Radharani, that's not good. Because Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, but he enjoys only with Srimati Radharani because she is the pleasure-giving potency. Without him, there's no pleasure. He's not getting any pleasure because she is the pleasure-giving potency.
Why do we chant?
Because I mean, the Hare Krishna mantra has been around like forever. See, Lord Chaitanya was very generous. He's very liberal. He's considered like the Mahavadanyaya avatar, the most magnanimous, most liberal, generous incarnation of the Lord, because he kind of just gave everything very directly. He was just like Radha, Krishna, just take Radha and Krishna, and he made it very clear. Whereas previous to Lord Chaitanya's appearance, Radha, the worship of Radha and Krishna was always a thing, because it's eternal, it's the ultimate, like highest thing in the spiritual world. And yet it was sort of what's the word? Like hidden. It was very protected, let's say, something very
Gate.
valuable. Huh?
We call it gate.
Gate kept.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was safeguarded. It was something very confidential that wasn't just to be disclosed, out on the street, the way Lord Chaitanya did. So then Hare is the same as Radhe, but it just wasn't disclosed. It was in a way that if you know, kind of thing. And if you don't know, then it's because you're not ready to know. So yeah. And the other thing is that what I heard from one great Vaishnava is that from Prashana Swami in New Vrindavan, he said that we don't chant Radhe Krishna because Radharani's relationship, and this is kind of like an esoteric explanation of it, but it makes a lot of sense. That Radharani's relationship with Krishna is like, it's parakiya, which means, she's not married to Krishna. And in Vrindavan, it's something that's kind of like hush hush, like people can't know about it because presumably she's married to her so-called husband Abhimanyu, who's actually an expansion of Krishna. So she's not actually unchaste at all. But she's the way it looks externally is that she's married to someone else and she lives there in his house with her mother-in-law and sister-in-law, and they're always like, Radharani's always running off with this Krishna and we're gonna catch her. And yeah, and so no one can know. It's something that they sneak off. Krishna goes to herd the cows, and then midday he kind of like he slips away from his friends while they're taking a nap, and he goes to meet Radharani at Radhakund. Or in the night when everybody's sleeping, they slip away and they have a designated meeting place where they go and they meet each other. So it's very secret. It's secret, it's confidential, it's hidden, it's not upfront, even though it's kind of like everybody kind of knows about it and everybody's very happy with it, but it's like the elephant in the room, in Vrindavan. So it can't be disclosed. It can't just be like Radha Krishna, So
That's a good.
so Hare is like acknowledging, for those who know, that we're talking about Radha and Krishna. And when we say Hare Krishna, it's bringing them together. But from Radharani's point of view, in order to protect Radharani's reputation, and keep her safe, not spill the beans about their relationship, then we say Hare, and that's open to interpretation.
So once you know, study chanting quietly, so
No, because that's not what Lord Chaitanya gave us. So we have to chant there's a verse that says that the mantra that we chant needs to be authorized by Sampradaya, Acharyas. And if we try to make up our own mantra, we won't get any benefit from chanting it. So the power is invested in the Hare Krishna mantra. It's not invested in any like made up mantras. Yeah, Prabhupada talks about that. He's quite strong about that in some of his purports in Caitanya Charitamrita, because if you go to Vrindavan, you'll hear all kinds of like made up mantras. They chant like Jaya Nitai Gora, Radhe Sham, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. That's a popular one. Or they just chant Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Sham, Sham Sham, Radhe Radhe. So Prabhupada said those mantras are bogus and we shouldn't chant them.
they chanted.
Who knows? They're attached to those mantras.
After this explanation of Hare Krishna, I think now it feels more amazing to say Hare Krishna because it has a tinge now like loving. You know
Yeah.
the meaning. Yeah, we don't have to say Radha's name.
Yeah. And you see in the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, Radha's name is not mentioned at all. Not mentioned. There's a couple places where in the Sanskrit it's like mentioned, like Aradhana means worship, and Radharani's name is in there, but it's like very subtle. It's like hinted at, but it's not mentioned directly. None of the names of the gopis are mentioned directly because, Shukadeva Goswami doesn't want to get them in trouble. And also, Prabhupada says that he would have become too ecstatic saying the names of Radha or the gopis, and he wouldn't have been able to continue reciting. And Maharaj Parikshit was on the verge of death. He was gonna leave his body in a few days, so he didn't want to just, become incapacitated and not be able to finish the pastimes. So he was containing himself. Yeah. And also the Hare Krishna mantra, it's like, see, Hare Krishna, it has both elements of meeting and separation. Because Hare Krishna is like they're together, Radha Krishna, Radha and Krishna. And then Krishna, Krishna is like Radharani calling out, Krishna, Krishna. And then Hare Hare is Krishna calling out, Hare Hare, Radhe Radhe, where are you? Like that. Okay. So yeah, Lord Chaitanya, this was the mantra that he gave. And it's interesting because like it's not actually, in terms of the way it's constructed, it's not actually a mantra. Like Vedic mantras, they'll all be starting with Om, ending something Namaha, or something like that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, or Gayatri mantras, they'll start with either Om or Klim, and they'll end with Namaha or Swaha or something like that, right? All the Vedic mantras are like that. But this doesn't have any Om, it doesn't have any Swaha, no Namaha, no whatever, it's just literally the names. It's only names. It's like, when you get a mango, it's like there's the skin and there's the seed and there's the fruit. Like, but
It's just the fruit.
it's just the fruit. There's no skin, there's no seeds. And it's funny because we're going to read a pastime coming up here in the Caitanya Caritamrita where Lord Chaitanya is out in Sankirtan. They're doing Harinam all over the streets of Navadvip with the devotees. And then after a while, everyone's getting, like, they've been jumping and dancing and singing for hours. So everyone's getting a little, like, tired and thirsty and hungry. And so Lord Chaitanya's, there's like a beautiful, like, little foresty area there. So they all go there in the shady trees and then Lord Chaitanya, he gets he gets like a mango seed and he just like puts it in the ground and immediately a tree grows and it just like zoop, grows to maturity and produces leaves and flowers and fruits. And then the fruits are big. They're like this, like one fruit he said could fill a man's belly or even more. And the fruits are hanging there on the tree and there's no skin, no seed, only fruit.
Oh,
Yeah. And if they were falling off, they were so ripe that they were just going and becoming like a pool of mango juice on the ground. So they were like eating those mangoes and getting very energized from the
it's
transcendental.
interesting because I'm reading.
Hmm. Oh yeah, has the biography. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's cool how it starts with Lord Chaitanya's life story. Okay, let's go to 6. So now we're going to get the reasons why Lord Chaitanya. So he had his internal reasons and he had his external reasons, which we'll hear about. So now we just get a little very brief statement of the internal reasons. Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanayaiva Swadyo Yena Bhuta Madhurima Kidrisho Vamadiya Sokyam Chashyamad Anubhavata Kidrisham Veti Lobat Tadbhavadya Samajani Shachi Garba Sindho Harindu. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appeared from the womb of Srimati Shachi Devi as the moon appeared from the ocean. So Sachi Devi is the mother of Lord Chaitanya. So this is why Lord Chaitanya came to this, or Krishna came to this world in the form of Lord Chaitanya, is because, Krishna would see how Radharani would be so ecstatic by loving him. And she would just be so, happy loving him. And he would be like, and he would be wondering, what does it feel like to love me? What is the happiness that she gets from loving me? And what are the qualities in me that she is so enamored by? Because if you're yourself, you don't know, like you know, people may like me, and I'm wondering, what do they see in me? Like, what is it like to be, you know, my friend or whatever? So Krishna is thinking like that. He's like, what are the qualities that she relishes in me? And what is that happiness that she feels when by my love, by my loving her? Yeah. And what is the glory? Like, what is the extent of her love? So he wants to feel like, what are the glories of Radharani's love? What is it about him that she loves so much? And how does she feel by loving him? What is the happiness she feels by loving him? So Krishna wanted to experience that. He was thinking, Krishna, he's God, he's omniscient, he's the absolute truth, but there's one thing that he doesn't know, like what it feels like to be his devotee. So then he comes as with the mood of Srimati Radharani to experience what the best devotee experiences and feels by her loving devotion. Okay, so those verses were all about Lord Chaitanya. Now he's going to speak about Lord Nityananda. Text 7. What's the melody here? Okay. Sankarshana Kara. Wait. Sankarshana Karanatoya Shayi Garbhodashayi Chapayobdishayi Sheshaschayasyam Shakalasa Nitya Nandakya Rama Sharanam Mamastu. Pragati.
May Shri Nityananda Rama be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshana, Sheshanak, and the Vishnus who lie on the Krishna ocean,
Karna ocean.
Karna ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk are his plenary portion and the portions of his plenary portion. What?
Yeah, so Nityananda Prabhu is very glorious. That yeah, so Sankarshan, Sheshanag, the Vishnus. So he's talking about the different Vishnus. Like for the creation of the world, Krishna expands himself into Mahavishnu, and then that Mahavishnu expands into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and that Garbhodakshaya Vishnu expands into Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And he's saying that Nityananda is the source of all of those. All the Lord Nityananda, because Nityananda is Balaram, right? There's calling him Nityananda Ram to show that he's no different from Lord Balaram. And Lord Balaram is the first expansion of Krishna, very first expansion. So from Balaram come the different expansions. First, there comes a group of 4, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. And then from that Sankarshan, from that, it's called the Chatur Vyuha. And it's from that Sankarshan expands another second Chatur Vyuha. And then from them expands Mahavishnu, who's called Karana Dakshaya Vishnu, who's the cause of creation. And then he expands the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, enters the universe, like that. But because Lord Nityananda is Balaram, he's the source of all incarnations. So all of these either plenary portions, plenary means complete. So like when the Lord expands as a complete Vishnu Tattva incarnation, that's called a plenary portion. And when there's portions of the plenary portions means like kind of less powerful expansions, right? So incarnations of Krishna that don't have all the powers of the Lord, but have partial powers. They're just portions or portions of plenary portions. But Lord Nityananda is the origin of those because he's Balaram. Of course, the origin of Balaram is Krishna. But yeah. But Krishna and Balaram are equal in the sense that they have equal powers. And the only difference Prabhupada said is that Krishna is black and Balaram's white. Otherwise, they're equal in terms of potencies. But they also have different personalities, right? Okay, text 8. More about Lord Nityananda.
I didn't know that Garbhodakshaya ocean and ocean of milk are different. Like here we got to see 3 different oceans.
Oh yeah, so the first ocean is like, okay, so in the very beginning, there's Karna Dakshaya Vishnu. So in the beginning, there's nothing, basically. And then from those incarnations expand. and then expands Karna Dakshaya Vishnu, who is also called Mahavishnu. We usually call him that because it's easier to say. Mahavishnu, he's the first Vishnu. And so he's basically just there in the middle of dark nothingness. And then from his perspiration comes the ocean, the Karna ocean, that's called the causal ocean. So then he lies down on that, on Anantashesh, and Shesh is an expansion of Balaram. And then he, desiring to create the universe, he creates the universes, basically. Then he enters into the universe, like all the universes come just like floating out of Mahavishnu, like out of the pores of his body. Like so many universes, or sometimes it says he breathes them out. So whether he breathes them out or they just come exuding out of the pores of his body, all these like bubbles coming out of the ocean, or they're just like universes are just emanating from his body, right? So then now there's millions of universes, and Mahavishnu's lying there, and they're just floating around in the space, and that space is half filled with the Karna ocean, which Mahavishnu's lying on. Okay, that's the situation. So then Mahavishnu expands himself into as many Vishnus as there are universes, and he enters into each of those universes. Universes are empty, they're literally just like bubbles. So then he's called Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So Garbhodakshaya, millions of Garbhodakshaya Vishnus, each one enters into each universe, and then he again, from perspiration from his body comes another ocean called the Garbhodaksh ocean. The Garbha ocean. Okay. Then he lies down on that. So Vishnu's chill. He's always just lying down and chilling on like an air mattress on the swimming pool or something. Yeah, that's why we like to lie down on an air mattress and then float in the pond or something, is because we're parts and parcels of the Lord, and he likes that. Okay, so so he's like chilling there, and then the lotus grows out of his navel, and then on that lotus comes Brahma, right? He expands from the navel to that lotus stem, and then he finds himself sitting on top of the lotus in this empty universe with just water, and there's wind blowing, the lotus is swaying. Lord Brahma's like, oh my God, where am I? Who am I? What am I doing here? All right, what is the purpose of my existence? And then so then anyways, then Brahma does meditation, and then he gets some instruction from within the heart. He realizes that he's come from Mahavishnu, and Vishnu speaks to him, empowers him to create, and then he creates all the different structures and forms, planets and planetary systems and bodies of all the living entities that have material desires and need to have a material experience to, basically work through their material desires and go back to Godhead. So then when the living entities are there, then Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, now he expands himself into Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and then he becomes the super soul, and he enters into the heart of all the living entities. Yeah, and then he himself, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, he also stays on a spiritual planet. So in every universe, there's the 14 planetary systems that are all material planets, and there's also a spiritual planet that's like a Vaikuntha planet in the material world. Every universe, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu lives there, and he presides over that planet. It's called Sweta Dweep. So he also lays down. They all lay down. They're all just laying down. So he lies down. He has an island in the middle of the ocean of milk. Sweet on that planet. Yeah, the planet is sometimes called Sweta Dweep, but Sweta means white, and Dweep means island. So it means white island. So it's more like the island that he lives on in the middle of the ocean of milk. That planet's very white milk ocean, white island, and he's there.
It's the same Vishnu that's in the. That's the same. That's the thing.
Yeah, the super soul expands from him. Yeah. Yeah, same name. Yeah, he's like super soul central.
This could be like these movies, are made of this.
It's pretty amazing, right? Okay. So let's go to the next verse. Mayati te vyapi vaikuntaloke Purnaishvarye Shri Chaturvyuha Madhye Rupam Yasyodbhati Sankarsanakyam Tam Shri Nityanandaramam Prapadye. Good to go. Who is not Sankarshan in the midst of the Chaturvyuha, consisting of Vasudev, Sankarsh, and Pradyumna and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in Vaikuntha Loka, far beyond the material creation. Jai. Yeah. So we're going to learn more about all these things. These are just like the sutras, and Krishna's Kaviraj is going to unpack all these things, and Prabhupada is also going to further unpack. And so by the end, we're going to be much more clear about who are all Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, who all of these are, what they represent, and how they fit into. Yeah. Okay. Maya Bhartajanda Sangha Shrayanga Shete Sakshat Karanam Bodhi Madhye Yasyai Shri Puman Adi Devas Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. See, these are very beautiful because it's saying unto Shri Nityananda Ram Prapadye means I surrender. Surrender. Nityananda, who is all these. So, Dave?
I offer my full obeisance whose personal representation called Karanadakshaya, basically lying on the Karana ocean is the original Purusha, the master of the illusion, the illusory energy, and the shelter of all the universes.
Jai. So yeah, we're talking, that's Mahavishnu. That he is the
Karana, how do you say that?
Karanadakshaya Vishnu. He's Mahavishnu. He's the first one, the one that the universes emanate from his body. So that Vishnu is just a partial representation of Lord Nityananda. Just a partial. Okay, text 10. Yasyam Shamsa Srila Garbhodashayi Yanabhyabjam Loka Sangata Nalam Lokashastu Sutika Dhamadatus Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. Daniel? Garbhodakshayi Vishnu.
Then that was the resting place, multitude.
Okay. Another one here about Lord Nityananda. Yasyam Sham Sham Shaparat Paratmakilanam Poshta Vishnur Bhakti Dugdabdi Shai Kshoni Bhartayat Kala Sopyanantas Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. The first word threw me off. It's Yes Yam Sham Sham Sha. Because it's see that if you look at the word for word, it's yasya, amsha, amsha, amsha. Amsha means a portion. It's a portion of a portion of a plenary portion. Oh yeah, look. Let's see. In the previous verse, it's just amsha, amsha. So that it was probably just amsha. Let's see. No, it doesn't say. Oh yeah, yes, yaikamsha. In the third line. So the previous verse. So Karnadakshaya Vishnu is an amsha, and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is an amsha of that amsha, and then Kshiradakshaya Vishnu is an amsha of the amsha of the amsha, as a part of a part of. So they're getting like each time a little like
A little more.
more parted, more partial.
One more.
Yeah. they're expanding one from the other. And so the first one is the more powerful, and then they get less power. Okay, so now we're talking about the Amsha. Who's reading? Me? I offer my respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, whose secondary part is the Vishnu lying in the ocean of milk. That Kshiradakshaya Vishnu is the supersoul of all living entities and the maintainer of the universes. Sheshanag is his further subpart. Oh, so Sheshanag is going to be the Amsha. Okay, so that's Lord Nityananda. Now we're going to hear about Advaita Acharya. Text 12. Mahavishnu Jagatkarta Mayaya Shujatyada Tasyavatara Evayam Advaita Charya Ishvaraha.
Lord Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya.
Yeah, so we were hearing about Mahavishnu, right? Karanadakshaya Vishnu. And so Advaita Acharya is the same person in a different form. Text 13. Advaitam Harinadvaitat Acharyam Bhakti Shamsanat Bhaktavataram Isham Tam Advaita Acharyam Ashraye.
Because he propagates the cause of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and the incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of.
Yeah, so Advaita, the word Advaita means not two, and not dual. So it literally means one, and one and the same. So because he is one and the same as the Lord, he's called Advaita. He's not different from the Lord. He's not like a second person. He's the same person. And because he teaches, he's a teacher, then he's called Acharya. So Advaita Acharya. So that's nice. He's the Lord. And the last verse ended Advaita Acharya Ishvaram, that he is the Supreme Lord. And this ends Advaita Acharyam Ashraye. So he's the Ishvara and he's also the Ashraye. So he's the Lord and he's also the one to be taken shelter of. It's nice. It's kind of poetic. Okay, now we're going to sing this very well-known, more well-known verse, which glorifies the whole Panchatattva. Text 14. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavatara Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Oh, Divya, do you want to read?
Sure, I
You
would
there,
love
Div?
to.
Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
thank you, Prabhupada Priya. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is non-different from his features, as a devotee, devotional incarnation, devotional manifestation, pure devotee, and devotional energy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this is the Panchatattva. If you go to Mayapur, Panchatattva, and we have the Panchatattva mantra over here. Jai Shri Krishna Caitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhar, Shri Vasari, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So here it says Panchatattvat Makam Krishna, that there are 5 truths. Right? Prabhupada translates 5 transcendental subject matters. So Bhakta Rupa, Panchatattva Makam Krishnam, yeah. Bhakta Rupa is Lord Chaitanya. So he is Krishna, right? It says Krishnam Bhakta Rupa. So it's Krishna in the form of a devotee. That's Lord Chaitanya. And then Swarupakam means the expansion of the devotee. That's Lord Nityananda because he's Balaram. So Balaram is a identical, not identical like, but yeah, expansion of Krishna's own form. So Lord Nityananda is an expansion of Lord Chaitanya's own form. So Swarupakam, his own form. And then Bhakta Avatar means the incarnation of the devotee. That's Advaita Acharya. Bhaktakyam, and then Bhaktakyam is Srivas Thakur, that he's known as a devotee. So the previous ones are all actually Vishnu Tattva. They're actually all like God, right? Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, Nityananda is Balaram, Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu. They're all in the category of God. Whereas Bhaktakyam Srivas Thakur is actually a devotee. He's actually Jiva Tattva. He's actually a devotee. So it says known as a devotee, who is known to be actually a devotee. And then the last one is Bhakta Shaktikam, who is Gadadhar. So he is the energy of the Lord who appears as a devotee. And Prabhupada says, who supplies energy to the devotee. So that's Gadadhar, and he's actually a manifestation of Srimati Radharani. Yeah.
And with that, he's like the older.
Yeah. The Panchatattva's hands are like
Yeah.
this. Oh, no, wait. No. The Srivas Thakur's hands are like this. On our right. Yeah. On our right. He's always on the right. Advaita Acharya is the one with the beard.
Yeah.
And he's Advaita Acharya. He's Mahavishnu. Okay, so now we've offered obeisances to Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, Advaita Acharya, and the Panchatattva all together. So now we're going to go into the prayers in which we're going to offer obeisances and glorifications to the three principal deities of Vrindavan, Radha Krishna deities of Vrindavan. And these deities represent the different, I guess you could say, levels of devotional service: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So the first one is Madan Mohan. Those deities were installed by Sanatana Goswami, and they represent the process of Sambandha, which means relationship. So these are the deities that we pray to for the purpose of establishing our relationship with Krishna, understanding who we are in relation to Krishna, who Krishna is in relation to us, and how do we relate to Krishna, right, through service. So let's say that. Text 15. Jayatam surato pangor mama manda matergati matsarvasva padam bojo radha madana mohano. You might have heard this verse before, because whenever we do like a Pushpanjali, we always recite these three verses, or initiation or something. It's like standard. It's kind of like, you know how before we would do Bhagavad Gita class, we always say Om Gyana. So that's Mangalacharanam. That's like the basic Mangalacharanam. And then there's also an extended Mangalacharanam, which includes Panchatattva mantra and these three here. And more, all the like ones for the acharyas and things. So these ones are included. Okay, who's reading? Good to go. Oh, Dag? Hmm. So it's a nice meditation. I'm lame and ill-advised. Krishnadas Kaviraj. Yeah, he's the author.
Yeah, I remember the Madan temple there. I remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's idol.
In Vrindavan on the
in
hill.
Vrindavan, yeah.
Yeah, they're
The
there.
hill there.
Yeah, they're up
Is
there.
it Panchatattva or just Lord Chaitanya?
Chaitanya Nityananda.
I think there is Nityananda and his wife too on the other side. I do not remember, but Chaitanya.
Maybe. I can never see those deities because the monkeys
Yeah.
are too crazy up there. I always have to take my glasses off, and I'm always like,
Yeah.
or like I'm mainly without my glasses, and then I'll go right up to the altar. And also it's an outside, like the darshan, you don't go inside a room. It's
Yeah.
like outside. And the monkeys are just looking there. They're just like looking for some glasses to steal. So when I see them, I go up close and I'll be like clutching for dear life and like holding my glasses like that with a death grip on them. And even then the monkeys are like jumping on my head and climbing up my sari. That'd be a good idea. Okay, anyway, so Madan Mohan are there. Now the next one is Shri Shri Radha Govinda. So they are the deities of Abhideya, which means the process. So Sambandha means the relationship, and then Abhideya means the process for engaging in the relationship. So the process is devotional service, right? Hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping, praying, etc. And these are the deities of Rupa Goswami that he established there in Vrindavan. Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prastali Sevyamano Smarami. Daniel, would you like to read?
And in the temple of Vrindavan, they desire Sri Krishna Vrinda, served by their most confidential associates, sit upon in the golden throne. I offer my humble obeisance upon them.
Okay. And then the last one is Radha Gopinath, which they're the deities of Prayojana. Prayojana means the goal. So the goal is what?
Prema.
Krishna Prema.
Krishna
Yeah.
Prema.
Love for Radha and Krishna. So these deities help us to attain the goal. So first we establish the connection to a relationship, and then we nurture that relationship by devotional service. And then we get purified, we come closer, the relationship becomes more and more sweet, more and more intimate, and we get more and more attached, and that attachment turns to ecstatic emotion. That ecstatic emotion matures into love, and that's the goal.
When you go,
And the thing is that those deities now, the original deities, are all not in Vrindavan anymore. They all moved out. Yeah, because of Aurangzeb and these vicious Muslim attackers.
Yeah, when I went to with ISKCON, they first took us to the Madan Mohan temple, and then I think there is a back door way where you can go to Radha Govind from a back way, like not like this,
Uh-huh.
but just jumping over the walls and then you go
Okay.
there. Yeah, so I remember doing this.
So you could see that, I mean, you can, because the original deities are moved out. So Madan Mohan is in a place called Karoli in Rajasthan. And then Radha Govinda and Gopinath are in Jaipur, also in Rajasthan. But the original deities, no. But they have what they call a Pratibhu, which is considered non-different from the original deity, but it's not the original deity. They also have Pratibhu in Radhakund, so you can go to Radhakund and you can see all of them. Because when they were moving the deities, the original temples were there in Vrindavan, and then when they were moving them, they were going west to Rajasthan. So west of Vrindavan is Radhakund Govardhan, right? So they went there, and then they spent some time there. I don't know how long they took a break there at Radhakund, and the deities, while the deities were there, they were in some shrines there. And so wherever the deities had to stop, then
they still
they
they're
stay.
still-
Yeah. So they installed, when the original deities moved, they put Pratibhu deities, like placeholder
Yeah.
deities, but they're also the same deities, and they've been worshipped to this day at Radhakund. And they built temples there, small temples, and the deities are also small. They're there. And then the last stop they made, I heard, was Kamyavan. The Kamyavan is like the western, kind of the furthermost western point of Vraj Mandal. After that, you're not in Vraj Mandal anymore. You're outside of that area. So, yeah. And at that point, the Vrinda Devi was going with them also. But then Vrinda Devi couldn't leave Vraj. She was just like, I'm sorry, I can't go. You go. So she stayed behind. And so the original Vrinda deity is, Vrinda Devi deity is there in Kamyavan.
and
Kamyavan. Yeah, I want to try to go there this year. I've never been there because it's a little far. Anyways, we'll go. So, okay, so let's read this verse for Radha Gopinath. Shriman Rasarasarambi Vamshivata Tatastita Karsham Venur Swanar Gopir Gopinatha Shriyestunaha. Who's reading? Dan, you read? I'll read. Sri Srila Gopinath, who originated the transcendental mellow of the rasa dance, stands on the shore in Vamshivat and attracts the attention of the cowherd damsels with the sound of his celebrated flute. May they all confer upon us their benediction. Okay, now, now this is like the invocation for every chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Sorry.
Wait, let's say this all together. Glory to Shri Chaitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra. And all glory to the devotees of Shri Gora Lord Chaitanya. Jai. So this was the first Bengali verse, right? All the previous verses were all Krishna's Kaviraj's Sanskrit invocation. Now he's starting his own. Yeah. Huh?
Just name.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be the same in Sanskrit, but you know by the meter that he's now composing his Chaitanya Charitamrita verses. Right, this is different from the previous. Oh yeah, it's Bengali. It's not Devanagari, it's Bengali script. No, it's all Bengali script. Even the Sanskrit verses, he writes in Bengali script. Yeah, because he wrote it for Bengali, he wrote it for Bengalis to read. So obviously he wrote in the language they can read. It's basically, I mean, it's actually pretty epic what Krishnadas Kaviraj did, because it's kind of like he translated even the Sanskrit verses into Bengali. So yeah, like what Srila Prabhupada did. Yeah, so it's kind of like what Srila Prabhupada did with his books. So
So
cool.
that they can read. Otherwise, we would not be.
It's like these verses, yeah, these verses are like the transliterations, and then the Bengali is like Krishnadas Kaviraj's purport, basically. Yeah, I mean, they're Krishnadas Kaviraj's explanations. Now he's going to unpack the verses here. So, and then Prabhupada, of course, when Prabhupada translated, he translated the verses. He also translated the Sanskrit verses, and he also translated the Bengali verses into English, and then he added his English purport. So just for the casual reader, like, you don't notice the difference, but if you really look at it carefully, you see how, like, I remember this second time I read it. First time I read it, I didn't notice because I didn't pay attention to the script, but I was like, wait a minute, the Sanskrit is written in Bengali.
So, like in Christianity, they get what's the original text actually saying? Because when the empire took over, they translated, and then they translated from Roman. So at first it was Greek, then it became Roman, and then back to English. So the translation of translation. So when you're reading the Bible,
Yeah, some things got lost. All right, should we stop here? Because the next verse has a long purport. I feel like maybe we should read this purport just because it's all about what we've been. Let's just read it. We're going to go a little over time, but whatever. Text 19. Etina takur godiyake kariyachene atmasat. Etine charana vandantine moranat. Okay, who's reading? We can break it up. These three deities of Vrindavan, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinath, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Do you want to read first paragraph, Parvati?
Purport. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita offers his respectful obeisances unto the three deities of Vrindavan, named Sri Radha Madan Mohan, Sri Radha Govindev, and Sri Radha Gopinathji. These three deities are the life and soul of the Bengali Vaishnavas or Gauri Vaishnavas, who have a natural aptitude for residing in Vrindavan. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who follow strictly in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, worship the divinity by chanting transcendental sounds meant to develop a sense of one's transcendental relationship with the Supreme Lord, a reciprocation of mellows, rasas of mutual affection, and ultimately the achievement of the desired success in loving service.
That's what I was saying. Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Right?
These three deities are worshipped in three different stages of one's development. The followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
Scrupulously.
scrupulously follow these principles of approach.
Go ahead, Kritika. Oh, you want to skip past for a moment? The second
What?
paragraph of the herb?
Govinda and Gopi Jana Vallabha. Madan Mohan is he who chants Cupid, the god of love. Govinda is he who pleases the senses and the cows. And Gopi Jana Vallabha is the transcendental lover of the gopis. Krishna himself is called Madan Mohan, Govinda, Gopi Jana Vallabha, and countless other names, and he plays in his different pastimes with his devotees.
Okay.
The three deities. Well, have a very specific worship of the modern is on the platform of reestablishing our relationship with the material world as only an utter ignorance of our eternal relationship with the Supreme. Bungo refers to one who cannot independently handle it. And Banda Mate is one who is less intelligent because he is too absorbed in mystical. It is best for such a person not to aspire for success in fruitive activities or mental speculation, but instead to simply surrender to the Supreme. The perfection of life is simply to surrender to it. In the beginning of our spiritual life, we must therefore worship Madam so that he may attract us and amplify our attachment for material sense gratification. This relationship with Madam is necessary for neophyte devotees. When one wishes to render service to the Lord, one worships Govinda, the platform of transcendental service. Govinda is the reservoir of all benefits. When by the grace of Krishna and the devotee, one reaches perfection in service, he can appreciate Krishna as Gopi Jana Vallabha, the pleasure of the day.
Daniel? Oh,
Please see the long.
text 19.
This turn, Lordship.
I think I have the same version as you, but choose one to be this morning.
Oh. He wants to click on it.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to click on it, then it opens up.
Sri Chaitanya planned this mode of devotional service in three stages, and therefore these worshipful deities were installed in Vrindavan. I don't know, I can't say. Vrindavan by different Goswamis. They are very dear to the
Gaudiya.
Besides the temples of these three deities, many other temples have been established in Vrindavan, such as the temple of Radha Damodara of Jiva Goswami, the temple of
Shama Sundar. Shamananda.
temple of seven principal temples of 4 years old that are the most important of 5,000 temples now existing.
Gaudiya indicates the part of India between the southern side of the Himalayan mountains and the northern part of the Vindhya hills, which is called Aryavata, or the land of the Aryans. This portion of India is divided into 5 parts or provinces: Pancha Godadesh, Sarasvat, Kashmir and Punjab, Kanyakubja, Uttar Pradesh, including the modern city of Lucknow, Madhya Goda, Madhya Pradesh, Maithil, Bihar and part of Bengal, and Utkala, part of Bengal and the whole of Orissa. Bengal is sometimes called Godadesh, partly because it forms a portion of Maithil and partly because the capital of the Hindu king Raja Lakshman Sen was known as Goda. This old capital later came to be known as Godapur and gradually Mayapur. Go ahead, Pragati.
The devotees of Orissa are called Udiyas. The devotees of Bengal are called Gaudiyas. And the devotees of southern India are known as Dravida devotee. As there are 5 provinces in Aryavarta, so Dakshinatya southern India is also divided into 5 provinces, which are called Pancha Dravida, the 4 Vaishnavacharyas who are the great authorities of the 4 Vaishnav disciplic successions, as well as Sripad Shankaracharya of the Mayavad school appeared in the Pancha Dravid provinces. Among the 4 Vaishnav Acharyas, who are all accepted by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Sri Ramanujacharya appeared in the southern part of Andhra Pradesh at Mahabhutapuri. Sri Madhavacharya appeared at Pajakam near Vimanagiri in the district of Mangalore. Sri Vishnu Swami appeared at Pandya and Sri Nimbarka appeared at Mungera Patna in the extreme south.
Last paragraph, Kritika.
Yes.
Sri Chaitanya.
Who accepted the chain of disciplinary succession from Madhva Acharya, but Vaishnavas in his line do not accept the Tattvavadis, who also claim to belong to the Madhva Sampradaya. To distinguish themselves clearly from the Tattvavadi branch of Madhva's descendants, the Vaishnavas of Bengal prefer to call themselves Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sri Madhvacharya is also known as Sri Gauda Purnananda, and therefore the name Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya is quite suitable for the disciplinary succession of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, accepted initiation in the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya.
Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Haribo. Let's see if anyone's out there. Only comments we have is Radhe Radhe.